The night sky rests quietly above, a vast canopy of muted light and deep shadow. The world below slows its frantic pace, yielding to the gentle rotation of the planet. We are resting on the surface of a magnificent sphere, moving silently through the dark, carrying the weight of the day into the embrace of the evening. It is a moment to release the narrow boundaries of daily life, to let go of the small spaces that confine our thoughts, and to allow the mind to drift upward toward the boundless open. Welcome to Dozing Universe. As the stars emerge one by one, you might consider subscribing to our channel, allowing these quiet journeys to become a familiar comfort in your nights. There is no rush, only the slow turning of the earth and the endless promise of the cosmos awaiting us. Why do we hold on to the heavy anchors of our worries when the sky offers such an infinite sea of tranquility? Perhaps the answers are not found in the busy daylight, but in the silent expanse above. The journey outward begins not with sudden movement, but with a gradual release of gravity. The ground softens, and the perspective slowly shifts upward. The familiar shapes of trees and buildings blur into a tapestry of muted colors, merging into the silver glow of the moonlight. The noise of the world fades into a distant hum, then into absolute quiet. The air grows thinner, clearer, washing away the dust and the fragmented light of cities. We drift through the troposphere, where the weather sleeps in wisps of clouds, calm and unmoving. Above this, the stratosphere stretches out, a pristine layer of undisturbed blue, cooling and settling the atmosphere into perfect stillness. The color of the sky deepens from pale indigo to a rich velvety violet. It is a transition so smooth, so entirely without effort, that it feels less like travel and more like an awakening to a larger reality. Are the skies above a ceiling, or are they simply a door left gently ajar, inviting the weary mind to step through? Higher still, the mesosphere greets the ascending spirit. Here, the air is too thin to carry sound, creating a profound, unbroken silence. This silence is not empty. It is full of peace, a comforting blanket that insulates the mind from the chaos below. The curvature of the earth becomes visible, a gentle arc tracing the boundary between the known world and the endless unknown. The horizon glows with a thin, luminous band of blue light, the very edge of the atmosphere catching the distant rays of a hidden sun. Ghostly curtains of the aurora borealis shimmer faintly below, weaving threads of green and purple through the dark. A silent symphony of magnetic forces playing out in the upper reaches of the air. Moving into the thermosphere, the temperature changes, yet the sensation is one of absolute neutrality, a balance of elements where physical sensations dissolve. The darkness of true space begins to reveal itself, not as an absence of light, but as a rich canvas waiting to display the ancient light of distant stars. The transition from the atmosphere to the vacuum is imperceptible, a fading of one state of being into another, much like the gentle descent into slumber. The earth is now a majestic sphere of blue and white marble, suspended effortlessly in the dark. It holds all the history, all the bustling life, yet from this vantage point, it appears perfectly at rest. The great oceans reflect the light of the cosmos, wide and untroubled. The continents lie quietly beneath blankets of swirling white clouds, moving at a glacial pace that escapes human perception. From here, there are no borders, no divisions, only the unified breath of a single fragile sanctuary floating in the eternal night. To look back at the earth is to realize how small our daily burdens truly are, dissolving into the grand tapestry of planetary existence. What does it mean to belong to a world so beautiful, yet to feel so free when drifting away from it? As we drift further outward, leaving the comforting cradle of our home planet, the pale companion of the night comes into clearer view. The moon waits in the silent expanse, a testament to enduring calm. Its surface, textured with ancient craters and vast, smooth plains, speaks of a history long settled. There is no wind to disturb the dust, no water to carve new paths. It is a monument to stillness. The light it reflects is soft, a silvery glow that illuminates the surrounding darkness without piercing it. Gliding silently over the sea of tranquility, the vast plains of hardened basalt appear like frozen oceans of gray, untouched by the passage of millennia. The contrast between the brilliant highlands and the deep, shadowy craters creates a landscape of pure geometry and quietude. Drifting past the lunar landscape, there is a profound sense of solitude, but a solitude that brings comfort rather than isolation. It is a quiet detachment, a stepping away from the demands of proximity. What does it mean to exist in such perfect orbit, tied to a world yet forever apart from it? The moon offers no answers, only its steady, luminous presence, a quiet guardian in the shallow waters of our cosmic neighborhood. The space between the earth and the moon is a sea of tranquility, a vast expanse where time seems to slow, stretching the moments into a continuous, flowing present. The mind, untethered from the immediate, expands to fill this space, finding comfort in the magnitude of the void. The light from the earth diminishes to a soft crescent behind us, a fading memory of the day. The journey outward continues, propelled by nothing more than the gentle momentum of a quiet mind. The space ahead is vast, dotted with the steady light of the planets, each a silent wanderer, tracing its ancient path around the sun. The deep velvet of the cosmic ocean invites a surrender to its currents. There is no destination to reach, no urgency to arrive. The movement is a slow, rhythmic drifting, a harmonious alignment with the celestial dance. As the boundaries of the earthly realm dissolve entirely, the mind is left free, floating in the boundless dark, ready to embrace the majestic silence of the outer spheres. The gentle momentum of the outward drift carries the perspective away from the silver glow of the moon, entering a wider sea of undisturbed space. The light of the central sun washes over the void in a steady, unblinking stream, casting long, peaceful shadows behind every wandering sphere. There is no resistance here, only the smooth, frictionless glide through an ocean of pure vacuum. The warmth of the inner system surrounds the journey, a comforting radiance that touches the surface without breaking the profound chill of the cosmos. As the distance from the familiar blue home increases, a rust-colored world slowly comes into view. It is a planet of silent deserts and ancient, sleeping volcanoes. The surface is bathed in a soft copper hue, reflecting the sunlight with a muted, dusty grace. Vast canyons stretch across the land, carved by rivers that have long since faded into memory. It is a monument to the passage of time, resting peacefully in its dry red slumber. What stories of water and wind are held within those quiet valleys, waiting patiently in the eternal drought? The thin atmosphere offers no wind to disturb the sand, leaving the dunes perfectly shaped, frozen in a state of tranquil perfection. Drifting past this red sanctuary, the path opens into a wide, scattered field of ancient stones. These are the remnants of early creation, floating in a magnificent, slow-motion ballet. They do not collide or disrupt the peace. They maintain vast distances from one another, separated by millions of miles of empty, soothing dark. It is a lesson in harmony, a demonstration of how fragmented pieces can exist together in a state of perfect, unbothered equilibrium. To pass through this silent congregation is to feel a deep sense of belonging, a recognition that every stone, no matter how isolated, plays a role in the grand design of the celestial clockwork. The gravity of a much larger presence begins to gently guide the trajectory. A giant of pastel clouds and swirling currents emerges from the velvet backdrop. It is a world without a solid surface, composed entirely of fluid motion and swirling atmosphere. The bands of ochre, cream, and soft brown wrap around the enormous sphere, moving in a continuous, hypnotic rhythm. Great storm systems, larger than entire planets, rotate with a majestic slowness that defies their immense power. From this distance, there is no chaos, only a magnificent stirring of colors, like a painter blending pigments on a cosmic canvas. Do the swirling winds of this giant possess a memory of the primordial nebula from which they were born? The massive presence acts as a gravitational anchor, an older sibling keeping watch over the inner worlds. Moving further outward, the light of the sun begins to soften, turning from a bright gold to a pale, distant yellow. In this cooler, quieter region, the crowning jewel of the planetary family reveals itself. A globe of pale gold sits at the center of an intricate system of luminous rings. These rings are composed of countless fragments of ice and dust, catching the faint sunlight and shimmering with a pearlescent glow. They orbit in absolute silence, arranged in perfect concentric circles that resemble the gentle ripples on the surface of a still pond. The shadows cast by the rings upon the planet below create a visual harmony, a symphony of light and dark that soothes the weary observer. It is a masterpiece of orbital grace, offering a visual lullaby to the mind that seeks order and beauty in the void. As the pale rings fade into the background, the journey reaches the deep twilight zones of the system. The warmth of the star is mostly forgotten, replaced by a preserving, comforting chill. Two spheres of frozen azure and sapphire quietly guard the outer boundaries. Their atmospheres are smooth and featureless, reflecting a calm oceanic blue that speaks of profound depths and undisturbed isolation. They are the sleeping giants of the ice, existing in a permanent state of twilight. To observe them is to feel the slowing of one's own pulse, matching the sluggish, deliberate rotation of these distant worlds. What dreams occupy a planet that slumbers in the cold, dim edges of the light? Beyond the reach of the massive planets, the nature of space changes once again. The organized paths of the major worlds give way to a vast spherical halo of ancient ice. This is the utmost edge of the local domain, a region where the gravitational pull is reduced to a mere suggestion. Trillions of icy bodies float here, suspended in the dark like frozen snowflakes caught in a moment of absolute stillness. They drift aimlessly, unhurried, resting in a state of suspended animation. The light of the sun is now just one bright star among countless others, no longer dominating the sky, but simply joining the chorus of the galactic background. This transition marks the true departure from the neighborhood of origin. The sense of detachment is complete, bringing a wave of absolute weightlessness to the spirit. There is no forward or backward, no up or down. There is only the slow, graceful drift into the boundless interstellar sea, where the ancient ice points the way toward the glowing nurseries of the Milky Way. The boundary of the solar system gently dissolves into the vast, uncharted waters of the interstellar sea, a seamless transition from the faint warmth of our local star into the profound, sweeping chill of the open cosmos. The sun, once a dominant force of light and life, now quietly retreats into the background, softening into merely another bright point among the countless distant luminaries that adorn the endless dark. There is no definitive line to cross, no sudden shift in the fabric of the void, only a smooth, imperceptible gliding into a much larger, older domain. Out here, in the open expanse between the stars, the concept of earthly distance loses entirely its meaning. The space is so immensely vast that even the swiftest rays of light must travel for years to bridge the quiet gaps between neighboring suns. Yet, this profound emptiness is not a barren void of nothingness. It is a delicate, nearly invisible tapestry woven from the faintest traces of hydrogen and ancient stardust. These primordial elements drift in absolute silence, forming slow, majestic currents that sweep across light years of space in a tranquil, unending flow. The mind, too, can stretch out into this boundless region, untethered from the heavy demands of measured time and physical boundaries. What does 1,000,000 years mean to a solitary atom drifting through the quiet dark, unbothered by the rush of passing epochs? Perhaps time itself is merely a gentle illusion, a narrow construct that simply fades away when confronted with the eternal patience of the interstellar deep. As the quiet drift continues through this serene ocean, the absolute velvet blackness begins to soften, yielding to a faint, ethereal glow that emerges on the edge of perception. It is a subtle shifting of the dark into magnificent hues of deep violet, bruised indigo, and pale magenta. The interstellar mist slowly thickens here, gathering over eons into vast, luminous clouds that stretch gracefully across the firmament. These are the great nebulae, the silent celestial nurseries where the universe dreams new stars into existence. To approach one of these magnificent structures is to witness the slow, patient artistry of creation itself, unfolding at a pace so languid it appears perfectly still. The clouds are sculpted into towering pillars and flowing draperies of gas, illuminated from within by the hidden, resting light of nascent stars. The colors are soft and muted, shifting through subtle, blending shades of rose, cyan, and burnished gold, appearing like translucent watercolor pigments washing over a dark, endless canvas. There is no violent force here, no sudden bursts of chaotic energy, only a slow, deliberate gathering of matter over unimaginable stretches of time. Gravity acts as a gentle, invisible sculptor, coaxing the scattered remnants of ancient matter to come together, layer by delicate layer, in a process so quiet and gradual that it escapes the notice of passing millennia. How many quiet ages must pass? How many slow cosmic breaths must be taken for a single fragile spark of light to be coaxed from the cold, drifting mist? Deep within the protective embrace of these cosmic clouds, small pockets of density begin to form, resting peacefully in the dark. They are the sleeping seeds of future suns, wrapped securely in thick, insulating blankets of dust that shield them from the profound chill of the surrounding void. Inside these quiet cocoons, the temperature slowly, imperceptibly rises. It is a patient gathering of warmth, a quiet preparation for a moment of gentle awakening that is still thousands of years away. The progression is steady and entirely unhurried, a natural unfolding that strictly follows an ancient, harmonious rhythm written into the very fabric of the cosmos. The atoms within these hidden cores draw closer to one another, finding comfort in their shared proximity, building a subtle pressure that feels more like a deep, supportive embrace than a physical force. When the core finally reaches its necessary state of readiness, it does not ignite with a sudden roar, but rather blooms softly, like a nocturnal flower, opening its petals to the first light of an unseen dawn. A gentle, steady glow begins to radiate outward, gently pushing away the surrounding veil of dust and sending a new, warm source of light out into the dark interstellar ocean. This birth of a star is a beautiful testament to the enduring patience of the universe, a silent reminder that the most profound and lasting creations arise from absolute stillness and slow, dedicated accumulation. The fresh light from these young, newborn stars scatters outward through the remaining clouds, softly illuminating the intricate textures, folds, and valleys of the vast nebula. The microscopic dust particles catch this newly born light, creating a sparkling, translucent effect that makes the entire celestial structure appear to breathe with a soft inner luminescence. To float freely alongside these glowing monuments is to feel a deep, abiding sense of peace settling over the weary spirit. The scale of the nebula is so staggeringly vast that any actual physical movement within its boundaries appears completely frozen to the observer, offering a perfect, eternal portrait of cosmic tranquility. The mind can rest easily here, cradled in the gentle, diffuse light of stellar birth, far removed from the fleeting anxieties and the urgent, spinning nature of a distant terrestrial home. There are no pressing demands in this place, no expectations waiting to be fulfilled, and no deadlines to meet. There is only the quiet, continuous observation of a beauty that has existed for millions of years and will continue to exist in perfect harmony for millions more. Is it possible that the deep peace we seek within ourselves is merely an echo of this primordial stillness, a faint reflection of the silent, enduring nature of the space between the stars? The journey through the heart of the nebula is a slow passage through a grand sanctuary of light and color, a soothing wash over the senses that gently cleanses the mind and leaves behind only a profound sense of absolute clarity. The intricate veils of glowing gas gradually begin to thin out as the outward drift continues, their vibrant colors dissolving back into the faint, imperceptible mist of the wider interstellar sea. The soft glow of the young stars fades gently into the background, their newly born light adding a subtle, comforting warmth to the continuing journey ahead. The vast open waters of the galactic disk now lie open, presenting new, endless horizons of unbothered, silent wonder. The drift continues without effort, propelled by nothing but the slow, majestic rotation of the galaxy itself. An effortless glide into the deepening, comforting mysteries of the cosmic night, where every shadow holds a promise of rest, and every distant point of light is a silent guardian watching over the tranquil void. The quiet departure from the stellar nurseries brings a subtle shift in the surrounding light. The individual suns that once guided the path begin to merge, their distinct voices softening into a unified chorus of pale illumination. The perspective slowly ascends, rising above the flat expanse of the local stellar neighborhood. It is a gradual untethering from the immediate surroundings, a soaring movement that leaves behind the scattered dust and the wandering comets. As the vantage point broadens, the true architecture of our celestial home begins to unfold in the deep silence of the void. The great disk of the galaxy reveals itself, not as a collection of separate pieces, but as a single, magnificent organism composed of hundreds of billions of stars. They flow together in sweeping, majestic arcs, forming grand spiral arms that wrap around a brilliant, glowing center. These arms are colossal rivers of light and matter, turning with a slowness so profound that a single rotation requires hundreds of millions of years to complete. To observe this motion is to witness a measure of time that stretches far beyond the limits of human comprehension. A rhythm of existence that is incredibly soothing in its infinite patience. Within these luminous bands, the dust lanes appear as dark, intricate veins weaving through the starlight, adding depth and texture to the glowing canvas. The light emanating from the disk is a soft, milky white, a blended radiance that offers a comforting warmth against the profound chill of the surrounding emptiness. Looking toward the heart of the great spiral, the concentration of stars thickens into a dense, golden bulge. It is an ancient gathering place, where the oldest stars in the galaxy reside in close, harmonious proximity. Deep within that brilliant, glowing core lies an invisible, silent anchor. It is a presence of such immense, unified mass that it gently commands the entire spinning wheel of the galaxy. In its immediate vicinity, the very fabric of space and time curves and slows, stretching the passing moments into an eternal, restful pause. A single hour near this profound center might stretch outward, extending its quiet embrace across the span of many earthly years. There is no destructive chaos in this unseen center, only an ultimate stability, a gravitational sanctuary that keeps the far-reaching arms securely bound to the whole. Does the deep rest we find in sleep somehow mirror this absolute stillness at the center of the turning wheel, where time itself yields to the weight of tranquility? Floating high above the galactic plane, the mind can absorb the entirety of this vast glowing island resting in the dark ocean of the cosmos. The Milky Way is no longer a band of light across a night sky, but a complete and beautifully isolated sanctuary. It holds within its glowing spirals every mountain, every ocean, every fleeting memory, and every quiet night ever experienced on the tiny blue sphere we call home. Yet, from this boundless vantage point, all the heavy burdens and complex struggles of earthly life dissolve entirely into the soft, collective glow of the galactic family. The sheer scale of the structure does not diminish the spirit, but rather expands it, offering a profound sense of release from the narrow confines of ordinary existence. Surrounding the main disk is a faint, spherical halo, sparsely populated by solitary stars and ancient, wandering clusters. They are the quiet sentinels of the galaxy, tracing solitary elliptical paths in the deepest, most undisturbed regions of the local void. These ancient outposts drift in absolute silence, untouched by the slow churning of the spiral arms below. The light from the galaxy washes over the observer like a gentle, luminous tide, washing away any lingering remnants of anxiety or tension. The boundless dark that frames this island of light is not empty, but rich with the promise of infinite discovery. It is a comforting blanket that wraps around the glowing disk, providing a perfect contrast that makes the starlight appear even more delicate and precious. The journey outward does not sever the connection to this grand spiral, but simply offers a perspective of profound appreciation and unconditional peace. To see the home galaxy in its entirety is to understand the absolute safety of belonging to something so ancient, so enduring, and so exquisitely beautiful. As the slow drift continues, the majestic spiral begins to recede into the velvet background, gradually shrinking from an immense, encompassing environment into a singular, brilliant jewel suspended in the boundless deep. The gentle pull of the galactic center slowly releases its hold, allowing the mind to float freely out into the vast open expanses of intergalactic space. The light of 100 billion stars merges into a single soft beacon, a silent lighthouse watching over the continuing journey into the ultimate quietude of the open universe. The departure from the edge of the galaxy marks a quiet crossing into a realm where the very concept of distance seems to dissolve into a gentle, unbroken stillness. The familiar spiral of the Milky Way, holding every known dawn and dusk, slowly recedes until it is merely a radiant disk suspended in an endless ocean of quietude. This is the intergalactic void, a space so profound and vast that light itself takes millions of years to bridge its shores. Yet, this great expanse is completely free of isolation or coldness. It is, instead, a realm of ultimate liberation. The heavy pull of gravity, the invisible thread that binds celestial bodies to their frantic orbits, finally lets go. In this boundless open, there is no weight, no direction, and no urgency. The mind, untethered from the anchors of the physical world, can spread out across the silent dark, finding an absolute and unshakable peace in the pure emptiness. What does it mean to exist without boundaries, to drift perfectly unburdened in a space that asks absolutely nothing of you? The absence of matter here is not a hollow lack, but a magnificent clearing away of clutter, leaving only a pure, undisturbed medium for thought and rest to intertwine. Here, in the deepest waters of the local group, a small family of galaxies drifts together in a slow, harmonious ballet. The darkness is not black, but a deep, velvety canvas painted with the soft, smudged light of neighboring island universes. Looking back, the home galaxy is a swirl of pearl and gold. Looking forward, a new beacon gently announces its presence. It is the Andromeda Galaxy, a magnificent twin to our own, floating majestically across the intergalactic expanse. At first, it appears merely as an elongated pearl, a soft smudge of frosted light resting against the dark. But as the gentle drift continues, its true grandeur slowly unfolds. It is an immense spiral, wider and more populous than the Milky Way, yet sharing the same elegant, swirling geometry. Its core glows with a warm, ancient yellow light, surrounded by wide, sweeping arms dusted with the pale blue luminescence of countless wandering stars. There is a profound comfort in observing this silent neighbor. It stands as a testament that even in the most expansive and quiet reaches of the cosmos, there is companionship. The Milky Way and Andromeda are locked in a patient, silent waltz, drawn together by a gentle gravitational embrace that will take billions of years to complete. Their eventual meeting is not a collision, but a slow, graceful merging of light and ancient stardust, a harmonious blending of two vast families of stars into a single, magnificent, elliptical glowing sphere. To watch this silent approach is to witness the ultimate expression of cosmic patience. A billion years is merely a single step in their quiet dance. This realization washes over the mind like a soothing wave, smoothing away the sharp edges of daily anxieties. The ticking clock of human existence loses its power completely when placed beside the slow, majestic breathing of galaxies. How can the fleeting worries of a single day hold any weight when the universe itself moves with such magnificent, unhurried grace? Underneath this visible tapestry of starlight lies an unseen foundation, a profound and quiet architecture that cradles the visible world. It is the vast, invisible halo of dark matter, a gentle phantom structure that permeates the void. It does not shine, it does not obscure, it simply provides the necessary mass to hold these magnificent spinning disks together. It acts as a cosmic riverbed, guiding the flow of galaxies with a soft, undeniable gravity. To know this invisible scaffolding exists is to feel a deep sense of security, an assurance that the universe is not a chaotic scattering of light, but a carefully woven fabric where every thread is held in perfect, unseen balance. We are suspended in this invisible cradle, floating effortlessly along its gentle contours. The space between these two great spirals is not entirely empty. Scattered sparsely through the dark are the quiet wanderers, solitary stars that were long ago gently cast out from their home galaxies. They drift alone through the deep intergalactic ocean, carrying their own small spheres of warmth and light into the farthest reaches of the void. These rogue stars do not suffer from their solitude. They exist in a state of perfect, undisturbed meditation, untouched by the chaotic winds of galactic formation or the dense crowding of stellar neighborhoods. They are the ultimate hermits of the cosmos, providing soft, lonely beacons that guide the way through the deepest parts of the night. To pass by one of these silent travelers is to feel a deep resonance with their peaceful independence. They ask for no companions, shining their steady light into the dark simply because it is their nature to shine. The visual field simplifies as the journey continues through this archipelago of starlight, passing the smaller, irregular shapes of dwarf galaxies. They are like small glowing clouds, satellite islands that orbit the larger spirals with a quiet, respectful distance. Their light is faint and delicate, resembling the soft glow of fireflies resting in an endless, dark meadow. The overwhelming complexity of individual stars and planets is replaced by sweeping, minimalist strokes of light and profound darkness. It is an aesthetic of pure tranquility. The eyes no longer need to dart from one bright point to another. They can simply rest, taking in the soft, diffuse glow of entire galaxies suspended in the distance. The entirety of the local group functions as a serene, enclosed sanctuary, a quiet village of light resting in the infinitely larger landscape of the wider universe. As the drift carries the perspective past Andromeda and toward the outer edges of this galactic neighborhood, the profound silence deepens. the faint background hum of cosmic radiation, the oldest whisper in the universe, becomes a subtle, soothing presence. It is a gentle warmth that permeates the vacuum, a reminder that even in the deepest void, the lingering memory of creation still provides a comforting embrace. The sensation of floating becomes absolute. There is no surface to rest upon, yet there is a perfect sense of being held, supported by the very fabric of space itself. The mind expands to match the vastness of the surroundings, becoming as wide and clear as the intergalactic sea. The thoughts that once felt dense and tangled now drift apart, thinning out until they are completely transparent, leaving behind a state of pure, luminous awareness. The light from the local group slowly gathers into a single, multifaceted jewel behind the drifting spirit, while the space ahead opens into an even greater expanse. The departure from the local neighborhood is a quiet slipping away, a transition into the true macrocosm where individual galaxies are merely tiny drops in a limitless, shimmering ocean. The journey does not falter. It simply glides forward on the frictionless currents of the void, carried by a profound sense of surrender to the ultimate tranquility of the open cosmos. The quiet drifting movement carries the spirit further outward, transcending the final, gentle boundaries of the local galactic neighborhood. The beautiful collection of familiar galaxies that formed our immediate celestial family now slowly merges into a single, soft point of frosted light, joining a much larger and far more profound architecture. As the perspective expands to encompass a truly macrocosmic scale, the isolation of individual galaxies dissolves entirely into a grand, interconnected harmony. Instead of floating aimlessly in an empty void, the scattered islands of light are drawn together by an invisible, ancient rhythm that permeates the deepest foundations of the cosmos. They form magnificent, luminous archipelagos, gathering patiently into massive clusters that shine like fields of scattered diamonds resting securely upon a deep, velvet canvas. This is the realm of the superclusters, a domain where the universe reveals its ultimate sense of peaceful order and majestic interconnectedness. Our home galaxy and all its quiet companions are merely one gentle tributary flowing into a vastly larger cosmic river, a magnificent and sprawling structure known as Laniakea. The very name translates to the immeasurable heaven, a perfect reflection of its boundless grace and sweeping celestial tranquility. To perceive Laniakea in its entirety is to look upon a flowing, silent watershed composed entirely of starlight and ancient gravity. Tens of thousands of galaxies, holding within them countless trillions of resting stars and sleeping planets, are caught in a gentle, sweeping current of gravitational harmony. They do not crash or collide in a chaotic frenzy. Rather, they move together with a synchronized, graceful purpose, drifting slowly along unseen pathways toward a peaceful center of convergence. This grand gathering point, a massive region of absolute gravitational calm, pulls the entire supercluster toward it in a slow, eternal, and deeply comforting embrace. It is not a forceful or frightening taking, but a natural, willing migration, a magnificent cosmic flocking of light moving toward a shared, tranquil resting place. To witness this grand migration is to feel a profound reassurance that there is no true wandering in the universe, only a beautiful, guided journey toward a collective, warm center. What profound peace can be found in knowing that even the greatest and most massive structures in the cosmos are safely held in a guided, purposeful, and unending flow. As the vantage point ascends even higher, moving further out to reach the absolute limits of visual perception, the immensity of Laniakea itself becomes just one graceful, glowing petal in an infinitely larger blossom. The true comprehensive face of the universe finally unveils itself in the dark, an awe-inspiring and perfectly balanced framework known as the cosmic web. This is the largest and most serene structure in all of existence, a limitless, radiant tapestry woven from the very fabric of space, unseen dark matter, and the oldest light of creation. The vast emptiness of the void is not a hollow, lonely expanse at all, but rather a space crossed by colossal, invisible filaments of quiet matter. These unseen, foundational threads act as the structural bedrock of the cosmos, a magnificent, stabilizing loom upon which the glowing matter of the universe is gently and carefully strung. The galaxy clusters rest along these invisible filaments, like delicate glowing dewdrops caught upon the threads of a vast, undisturbed silver spider web stretching infinitely across the dark. Where these grand, unseen filaments cross and intersect, massive nodes of brilliant, concentrated light are naturally formed, shining like glorious, silent sanctuaries scattered throughout the deep interstellar night. Between these radiant, woven threads lie the great cosmic voids, regions of space so incredibly vast and profoundly quiet that they hold almost no matter at all. These immense, spherical expanses of emptiness are the deep breathing rooms of the universe, providing the necessary, absolute silence to contrast and highlight the brilliant light of the surrounding filaments. They are not spaces of cold loneliness, but rather regions of pure, unblemished potential and ultimate calm, offering a profound sense of psychological liberation to the weary mind. To cast the spirit into one of these great voids is to experience the absolute peak of weightlessness, an environment where there is nothing to collide with, nothing to navigate around, and nothing to demand attention. It is a perfect, uninterrupted medium for absolute rest. To float high above this ultimate overarching architecture is to see the universe not as a random collection of isolated objects, but as a single, unified, and perfectly balanced organism resting in the dark. The entire cosmic web seems to pulse with a slow, eternal rhythm, a silent heartbeat composed of gentle gravity, an ancient light spanning billions of light years in every direction. The mind, softly observing this grand, flawless interconnectedness, easily releases the final remnants of a separate, isolated identity, melting seamlessly and beautifully into the grand design. Every solitary star, every sprawling galaxy, every quiet void, and every unseen thread of matter is an essential, valued part of this majestic whole. There is a deep, overwhelming comfort in this final realization, a profound and quiet understanding that everything is perfectly placed, exactly where it belongs, and harmoniously intertwined with all that surrounds it. The intricate lace of the cosmic web glows continuously with a soft, enduring, pale light, serving as a silent testament to the ancient, benevolent forces that carefully shaped the universe into a place of ultimate beauty and perpetual rest. The journey through this grand architecture is completely effortless, driven by no engines and requiring no energy. It is merely a continuous expansion of peaceful awareness, a gentle unfolding of the tired spirit to match the boundless grace of the surrounding cosmos. As the glowing threads of the cosmic web stretch out into the unfathomable, distant horizons, they seem to wrap the entirety of existence in a delicate, protective embrace. It is a comforting blanket of light and gentle gravity that ensures absolute stability and peace for all of remaining time. The silence at this supreme elevation is absolute, an eternal, undisturbed, and perfect quiet that naturally permeates the very foundation of all that is, inviting the observer to surrender completely to the peaceful, slowing rhythm of the immeasurable heavens. The heavy anchors of the past and the anxious projections of the future both dissolve equally in the face of this eternal present, leaving only a state of pure, soft being. The mind drifts quietly along the glowing filaments, tracing the gentle curves of the unseen matter, finding a perfect, unending lullaby in the slow, harmonious motion of 100 billion galaxies turning together in the gentle dark. The slow and graceful ascent beyond the grand architecture of the cosmic web brings a final, profound shift to the surrounding environment. The majestic filaments of clustered galaxies, which once spanned the entirety of the dark like a web of glowing dew, now begin to soften and gently blur into the distance. The distinct shapes of the universe, the spinning disks, the brilliant elliptical cores, and the great spherical voids gradually lose their defined edges, dissolving completely into a smooth, continuous, and unending haze. We are quietly approaching the absolute threshold of observable space, the ultimate temporal horizon, where the light of the present era gives way to the deep, undisturbed echoes of the absolute past. The darkness in this outermost realm is no longer punctuated by the sharp light of individual stars or the clustered glow of celestial neighborhoods. Instead, it transitions beautifully into a seamless, unified field of pure, quiet existence. Here, at the very edge of perception, a subtle and omnipresent warmth slowly begins to reveal itself to the weary traveler. It is not the piercing, intense heat of a young sun, nor is it the bright, demanding glare of a galactic center. It is a soft, uniform vibration, a gentle microwave hum that fills every cubic inch of the boundless void. This is the cosmic microwave background, the beautifully preserved afterglow of creation itself. It is the oldest and most enduring light in all of existence, a gentle radiance that has been stretched, softened, and cooled by over 13 billion years of continuous silent expansion, until it's nothing more than a comforting whisper of warmth lingering across the eternal dark. To gently touch this primordial light is to return to the very beginning of everything, arriving at a time long before the first stars ever ignited, before the galaxies were formed, and before the complex structures of matter ever took shape. It is a state of absolute, unblemished potential. In this ancient era, the universe was simply a serene, featureless ocean of energy, resting quietly in its own gentle warmth. This light does not come from a single, distant point. It surrounds everything equally from all sides, offering a perfect, all-encompassing embrace that knows no boundaries, no directions, and no focal points. It is the ultimate cosmic blanket, woven from the very first moments of time, gently wrapping the drifting consciousness in a soft, eternal, and perfectly uniform glow. Translated into the realm of human perception, this ancient radiation might appear as a faint, deep amber, or a soft, bruised magenta, resembling the calming, muted colors of a sunset that refuses to fade, lingering indefinitely on an unending horizon. This light does not demand observation. It does not ask the mind to process complex geometries or to track sudden, erratic movements. It simply exists, offering a profound sense of equality and ultimate rest. The absolute uniformity of this primordial glow acts as an immense equalizer, smoothing away all the complicated textures of the physical world. There is no up or down, no left or right, no forward or backward. There is only the smooth, unbroken sphere of ancient radiance, a perfect environment for the mind to finally release its grip on the need for orientation and control. To float within this soft, featureless expanse is to experience the true meaning of formlessness. Form, by its very nature, requires tension, gravity, and the binding of elements. But here, in the echo of the early cosmos, there is only a beautiful, formless release. It is an environment that perfectly mirrors the deepest and most restorative phases of human slumber, where the mind is completely emptied of the complex moving architecture of dreams, leaving behind only a state of pure, quiet, and profound being. The concept of time itself gently unravels in this space. Because we are looking at the oldest light in existence, we are touching the dawn of the universe, yet we are experiencing it in the absolute present. The heavy arrow of time, which relentlessly drives the earthly world forward, loses its momentum completely. The past and the present fuse together into a single, unending moment of tranquility, a continuous now that requires no anticipation of the future and holds no regrets from the past. In this timeless suspension, a vast and liberating philosophical question gently arises: what lies beyond this ancient curtain of light? The human mind, so accustomed to the physical walls and borders of terrestrial life, naturally seeks an edge, a final boundary, to mark the absolute end of the journey. but the cosmos offers a far more comforting and expansive truth. There is no wall. There is no sudden drop into an abyss, no terrifying edge to fear. The warmth simply continues, extending outward and infinitely repeating its quiet, unbroken perfection. To embrace the reality of a limitless universe is to experience a total and profound release of inner tension. If the space that holds us is truly without end, then there is infinite, boundless room for our own inner peace to expand. We are safely and securely held in a majestic container that requires no walls, cradled gently in a boundless ocean that never needs to meet a shore. The realization of this infinite, gentle expanse allows the final, subtle layers of personal identity to beautifully dissolve. The distinction between the observer floating in the dark and the vastness of the universe being observed slowly washes away, merging into the exact same soft amber light. The slow, steady, ancient vibration of the primordial photons perfectly aligns with the unconscious, rhythmic slowing of the heart. The breath becomes remarkably shallow, incredibly slow, and perfectly even, effortlessly matching the silent, expansive breathing of the universe itself. All the heavy burdens of individuality, the fleeting memories of the day, the anxious plans for the morrow, and the dense earthly concerns of the waking world evaporate entirely into the ancient, glowing mist. We are no longer travelers moving through the depths of space. We have become a quiet, integrated part of the cosmic stillness itself. The universe is unimaginably vast, yet it is completely undemanding. It continues its slow, majestic expansion in the dark without ever asking for our attention, our understanding, or our wakefulness. It grants us the ultimate, unconditional permission to simply let go. Even this comforting, primordial glow eventually begins to soften as the final stages of the journey approach, as the conscious mind sinks deeper and deeper into a state of absolute tranquility. The amber light of the cosmic background gently and willingly fades back into the velvet texture of the dark. This fading is not a loss, but a willing, beautiful surrender to the night. The ancient photons that have traveled across the void for billions of years softly end their monumental journey here, dissolving completely into the quiet, undisturbed space behind resting eyelids. The great outward journey across the cosmos has gracefully transformed into a profound journey inward. The limitless, sweeping expanse of the macrocosm serves merely as a mirror, reflecting the boundless, comforting depth of peaceful slumber. There is absolutely no more distance left to cross. There is no more light left to chase. The gentle underlying hum of creation slowly fades out into a profound, unbroken, and perfect silence. The invisible warmth remains, acting as a soft, protective aura that cradles the tired spirit. The universe sleeps in the boundless dark, and we sleep peacefully alongside it. The great, invisible threads of the cosmic web, the slowly turning spiral galaxies, the quiet, frozen planets, and the wandering stones all rest securely in the exact same eternal night. Millions of light years away, the slow, steady turning of the blue earth continues its faithful rotation, a distant and safe harbor that requires no thought, no worry, and no attention until the dawn eventually arrives. Here, at the absolute end of light and the edge of time, there is nothing left to do but completely surrender to the ancient, primordial stillness, allowing the gentle, slow-moving tide of dreamless sleep to carry us completely away into the ultimate, unending peace of the dozing universe.